Starting a new job is awesome, right? All that excitement until the paperwork hits your desk. Well, thanks to the team at My Tax Accountant, we're going to sort through the one form that can genuinely make or break your first paycheck, the UK New Starter Checklist. Let's get this done.
Oh, we've all been there. It's that feeling of pure dread. You've worked your socks off all month, you're dreaming about what you'll do with that first payday, and then it hits your bank account. And it's just way, way smaller than you calculated. It is a total gut punch that leaves you staring at the screen asking this exact question: where did all my money go?
Well, more often than not, this number right here is the culprit. You could be accidentally overpaying your tax by 209 quid every single month, even on a modest salary of £2,000. And this isn't some weird rare mistake, it's a default setting called emergency tax. But the good news, it is 100% avoidable, and I'm going to show you exactly how.
Okay, so here's our game plan to make sure that cash stays in your pocket, where it belongs. First, we're going to expose what I call the emergency tax trap. Then, I'll introduce you to your tax lifeline. We'll go through the form step by step, no jargon. We'll connect the dots from the form to your actual payslip. And finally, we'll cover the most common mistakes so you can dodge them like a pro.
Right, let's meet the villain of our story, emergency tax. And it sounds dramatic for a reason, because it feels dramatic when it happens to you. Basically, if your new employer doesn't have the right info about you, HMRC tells them to just play it super safe and tax you on a high generic rate. This usually happens if you start without a P45 and you haven't filled out your new starter checklist.
And just look at this. This chart shows the brutal reality. On the £2,000 monthly salary, with the correct tax code, you should pay about £190 in tax. But get slapped with an emergency code? Whoa, that shoots up to £400. That's the £209 we were talking about, just gone. And the worst part? Clawing it back from HMRC can take ages. That's your hard-earned money just sitting in their account.
But every villain has a weakness, and in this story, our hero is the new starter checklist. This little form, and you might hear older colleagues call it a P46, that was its old name, is your single best weapon against that nasty emergency tax. It's what makes sure your first paycheck and everyone after it is right from the start.
Now here's the most important thing to get your head around. This form is a direct line of communication between you and your employer. You fill it out, you give it to their payroll team, and they use that info to tell their software exactly how you should be taxed. You never, ever send this to HMRC yourself. It's all about giving your boss the right tools for the job. And don't for a second think this is just for people on their first ever job. You'll need this form if you're coming back to work after having a baby or traveling, or if you just can't find your P45 from your last job. But here's what trips people up. You also need it if you're starting a second job, or even if you have a P45 but you need to tell them about your student loan. It's way more common than you think.
All right, time to roll up our sleeves. This is the practical bit. Let's walk through the form together. Getting these next few details right is your golden ticket to a correct tax code. So let's break it down into easy, manageable chunks. I promise, it's way less scary than it looks. The whole thing is really just 4 simple parts. You've got your personal details, that's the easy stuff, name, address, national insurance number. Then we get to the absolute crunch point, the employee statement. This is the bit that actually decides your tax code. After that, a quick section for your student loan, and finally, the declaration, where you just sign on the dotted line.
And I really want to pause here because this comes straight from the horse's mouth, from gov.uk. That employee statement section is everything. Your answer here directly, literally translates into the tax code your employer puts into the system. It's the absolute heart of the form, and it's where 99% of the expensive mistakes happen.
Okay, let's zoom in on this because this is the most important choice you'll make. You've got 3 options, A, B, or C. Statement A is for you if this is your first job or it's your only job since the tax year started back on April 6th. Pick this, you get the full standard tax-free allowance. Statement B is if you've had another job in this tax year but you've left it. This also gives you the allowance just on a fresh start basis. And then there's statement C. This is the one to watch. You must tick this if you have another job or a pension running at the same time. This tells your new boss, hey, don't give me any tax-free allowance. I'm already using it somewhere else.
And here's your pro tip. Getting this choice wrong is the #1 reason people get into a mess with their tax. So picture this. You've got your main 9 to 5 and you start working weekends at a little cafe in London. For that cafe job, you absolutely must choose statement C.
If you pick A by mistake, you're telling the taxman you have 2 tax-free allowances, which, nope, not allowed. You'll underpay tax all year, and eventually a bill for the difference will land on your doormat.
So, once you've nailed your employee statement, don't just rush to the end. There's another crucial section: student loans. Getting this right is so important. I know it's tempting to just ignore it and hope it goes away, but trust me, it'll just come back to bite you later with a big repayment demand from the student loans company. The form just needs you to tell them which plan you're on.
Now, looking at the numbers for the 2025/26 tax year, you can see why this matters. Each plan has a different earnings threshold before you start paying anything back. So for Plan 2, which is what most students from England and Wales who started after 2012 are on, you won't pay a penny back until you're earning over 27 grand. If you're not sure which plan you're on, just hop on the gov.uk website. Seriously, don't guess.
So, you've checked the form, signed it, handed it over. What actually happens next? Well, your employer takes your answers, especially that crucial choice of statement A, B, or C, and they plug it straight into their payroll software. That software then spits out the tax code they use in their very first payroll report to HMRC about you. It's a direct, almost instant link.
And let's just look at the financial hit one more time, because it is huge. Choose Statement A for your main job and you get tax code 1257L. That means the first £12,500 you earn is completely tax-free. But for that second job, you correctly choose Statement C and you get tax code BR for basic rate. Every single pound you earn from that job gets taxed at 20% from the get-go. Getting this wrong is the difference between a healthy paycheck and a really nasty shock.
And hey, did you know? This isn't some niche little problem. Over 2 million people in the UK were on the wrong tax code last year. 2 million. That is a staggering number. It leads to millions in overpayments that need refunding and underpayments that HMRC has to chase. This little form is your best shot at not becoming one of those statistics. All right, we are on the home stretch. Now that you know how it all works, let's make absolutely sure you don't fall into any of the usual traps. These are the top 3 mistakes people make time and time again. Avoiding these is the final piece of the puzzle for a perfect first paycheck.
Okay, so burn these into your brain. Mistake number 1, never ever pick Statement A if you have another job. It guarantees you'll get a tax bill down the line. Mistake 2, always declare your student loan, even if you don't think you earn enough to pay it back yet. And number 3, get the form in on time. Submitting it after your new boss has run the first payroll is just as bad as not submitting it at all, and it's the fastest way to get hit with that emergency tax code.
And listen, this isn't just about protecting you. Employers have a massive responsibility here too. There was a real case where a small cafe in London got hit with a £400 fine just for sloppy payroll reporting to HMRC. So for any small business owners watching this, getting this process right from your side is absolutely vital to avoid penalties. So to wrap it all up, that new starters checklist isn't just another boring bit of admin. Think of it as the key that unlocks your correct tax code, making sure your take-home pay is what it's supposed to be, right from that very first payday. If you're an employer feeling a bit lost in all this, or an employee with a more complicated setup, maybe you're a freelancer on the side, getting a bit of professional help can save you a world of pain. And for that expert help, the team at My Tax Accountant are brilliant. You can get them directly on WhatsApp or give them a call on 07854 255 375, or you can just pop an email over to info@mytaxaccountant.co.uk. They can help you slice through any tax confusion you're facing. And finally, if this guide helped you figure out the new starter checklist, just imagine what else you could learn. Make sure you hit subscribe on the My Tax Accountant YouTube channel. They've got loads more clear, simple guides on all things tax. Thanks for joining me.